Welcome to the Quick 10 podcast, brought to you by Trac, focusing on all things FedCon and cyber defense from different perspectives and different personalities, all in 10-ish minutes. Here's your host, Derek White.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Quick 10 podcast. I am here live and in person at CMMC conference here in Las Vegas, Nevada. I've got Matt Travis from the Cyber AB with me today. How you doing?
Derek, good to be with you. Thanks for Trac being here.
Yeah, no, it's been a great event. It's day 2, and we're one of the first ones of the day. There's a lot of people here, a lot of buzz, so that's good. You spoke yesterday. I didn't get to see it because I was sitting here doing this. What was yesterday all about? Talk about why conferences like this are important, and we'll let people know some updates.
I usually try to give updates on where things stand. Not everyone turns into town halls, and I recognize that people don't live and breathe CMMC every day like some of us do. So I tried to give everyone a feel that the growth and the momentum ever since that 32 CFR rule hit the books, we've seen level 2 certifications starting. That's probably the big headline news. CMMC has actually started. Now, it's not the mandatory program. We still have to wait for the 48 CFR rule to drop. But there's growing momentum and energy, I think, within the defense industrial base, recognizing that, okay, the window's open now. Why wait any longer? Let's get started. But it's still a fraction of the dibs. I don't want to give the wrong impression. But most of the 70 C3POs that we have full dance cards to do level 2 certification. So I think that's of note. And we're seeing an increase in the number of CCA candidates who want to be assessors. And that's a big part of making sure we scale the ecosystem. That's the limiting factor. Do we have enough assessors?
Yeah. And there's training that went on here. There's lots of people that conduct those trainings here, which is good to hear them talking.
It's really a whole week of activities.
Yeah.
There were a couple classes on Monday for CCPs and CCAs. There was a charity golf outing to benefit veterans, and I must say for your viewers, you've got quite a good golf game that I wish I had. And then the kickoff yesterday, we had Katie Arrington, who's the acting CIO and the deputy CIO for cybersecurity. She zoomed in from her hotel in Brussels at a NATO meeting, and she had a pretty strong and forceful message to everyone that CMMC, don't listen to DOGE is not going to affect CMMC. Budget cuts won't. CMMC is moving forward, and I think that was good to hear because some folks, until they hear it from DoD, I can say it as much as I want, but it doesn't quite have the same effect.
Right. Well, this just be time stamped a little bit because it is end of May. What was the last update? I want to say, was it over 100 now have been certified? Organizations have been certified. Is that?
If you include the joint surveillance, it's almost 300, but we have about 139 that have gotten level 2, another 60 or so are in progress.
Okay.
And then we had about 120 so joint surveillance. So
yeah, and we've had all different types of people on in the last 24 hours. That's why I sound a little hoarse. A lot of conversations yesterday, and it was a common theme of C3POs talking about some of the recent assessments and some of the efficiencies and some of the readiness, which has been the message for years and that's good to hear because I think that's one of the things that if you're not at conferences like this and you're not living and dying CMMC, there is that, well, how long is it going to take? And if I'm not ready, what happens and stuff. So that was actually reassuring that those that have gone through the good and there have been some learning lessons is really nice. And having them here being trained is really cool to be able to see that. So from the Cyber AB standpoint, you guys put this on. This is part of your event. There was news that there's maybe something coming up.
Yeah,
Can we talk about anything that's
the CEIC name CEIC started because it was a combination of the CMMC ecosystem, which is our event, and then the CEIC implementation conference, the IC.
Yes.
And so we joined forces because we're trying to create some simplicity for the DIB and the ecosystem about how to plan their calendars, and there are a lot of events out there. So for the national level, we were trying to consolidate, and we have news that we've now brought in the CS2 series that has been running for the past 6 years. And so we've rebranded now. What started as a CMMC ecosystem summit to CEIC is now going to be CS5 because we want to incorporate CMMC. Obviously, that's always going to be leading the discussions, but we're seeing more need to talk more about cloud security, but MSPs and CSPs and the role that they play, general compliance issues. We got and conformity issues with the CFR, the FAR CUI rule that's coming up.
Yep.
You can see the need for third-party validation of cybersecurity growing throughout the GovCon landscape. And then also just basic cybersecurity. I was out at RSA last month, a lot of innovation, which we don't usually talk about in CMMC as much.
Yeah.
It's all about kind of cloud and MSP providers, but at its core, CMMC is about cybersecurity, and there's a lot more that we should be talking about on that front. So we wanted to create a brand and an event that's going to be big enough to incorporate all of those, put it on opposite sides of the calendar, so whether you're on the West Coast or East Coast, you can plan to engage in in-depth discussions and good networking within the CMMC program and beyond that as well now.
Yeah, it's smart. And you're right. I mean, for the last handful of years, there's been regional conferences. I think conferences are tough. I mean, people are busy, right?
Yeah.
So if you can do one that's more centered and the topics, I mean, today, this is the one downside of doing these from the booth for 2 days. I don't get to go see all of but I can see the topic list, the service provider side, the OSC side, all the way down is helpful. So excited for that.
The other thing this event does is gives us the opportunity to try to help clarify some of the remaining questions that, the federal rules by nature can be a bit tough to read and understand. There are a few things in the 32 rule that have caused some confusion, like the 10-day reevaluation period. I try to clear that up. It's not a period to fix things or correct things. It's to show additional evidence that maybe you didn't show to the assessor. There's a lot of talk and still confusion about, is my external service provider a CSP or is it an MSP? And depending on that answer, what do I need to make sure that my partners are doing? And we need to do a better job with DoD to make sure that people understand what the requirements are.
Yeah, and I will say, it has gotten better, and it's a program, things have to go, but like the cap, making sure that people are looking at the current version, which is good, and things will evolve and things will change. And I think people just get back to their core, back to the basics has been another common theme here for the last couple of days, which is good.
Yeah.
Where do people want to go? Where do you want them to go to get the right information from the AV's perspective? So
as we serve as the official accreditation body, but we kind of do more. We're almost like the deputy PMO in terms of administration, not in terms of policy. So the CyberAB website, www.cyberab.org, is the place to start your engagement. There you can find in the marketplace all the practitioners who exist to help defense contractors get started and implement the requirements. You can see all the individual C3POs who are available to do third-party assessments. You can see all the training providers if you want to take a CCA or CCP class. So that's really the place to start. There's some information on what this is all about. So whether you're new to CMMC or you've kind of been dipping in and out during rulemaking, that's where we encourage people to go. And then we have town halls at the end of each month. So next Tuesday, depending on when this airs, the 27th, 6 o'clock p.m. For May, but essentially the last Tuesday evening of every month, 6 o'clock Eastern time. We spend an hour giving updates, taking questions, and I think that's a good place to start.
And those are posted on
our website. You sign up to get and you'll get the invitation.
Track of stuff. Yes, okay. That's where I would always recommend people go to the AV website. If you miss a town hall, and they are interactive, so it is fun to, if you can make them work and you're available at the end of the day. People do ask them questions and they try to get to them, which is nice instead of just posting and leaving.
Try and play stump the band with us. Always, but we welcome that engagement, and
for sure.
This is a collective effort, right? I mean, we want everyone to be successful in CMMC, whether it's the defense contractors themselves, because DoD wants them to meet the standards, but also, DoD turned to industry to create this. So we want this to be a successful line of business for MSPs and CSPs and C3POs and RPOs and all of that, and the training providers. So
thank you for listening to this episode, and make sure to subscribe to the Cuick 10 podcast wherever you get your podcasts, and check us out on YouTube as well. For more information about Trac, visit our website at www.cuicktrac.com. That's CUICKTRAC.com.